Hey guys, Yoiston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Now, I don't want to alarm anyone, but, I have a surprise here with me today. I went out and I hunted for the 10th Nazgul. I know, everybody thinks that there's only 9, but I assure you I found the 10th Nazgul. I am joined by the man of Numenor, given that 10th ring that everybody seems to forget about for some reason, Royan himself. How you doing, man?
I couldn't hold it in. I couldn't do it. Hi, everybody. I promise I'm not actually a raid. That you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, everybody. Yeah, it's good to hear from you all again. Let me make sure that that you can hear me. It seems like everybody can hear me just fine. It seems like everybody can hear Royan as well. This is our first time doing live stream like from a distance over OBS Studio, so if you could just let us know if you're hearing us all well, or if our volume's a little bit weird as we go on, and I'll try to adjust as we go here. It's good to see you all. Yeah, oh my gosh. I always look forward to live streams, especially at the beginning of the summer. Royan, actually, yeah, this is a good segue. So Royan, actually, for those of you who don't know him or have forgotten, he's one of my best friends. Every month he co-hosts this channel's podcast over on Patreon. It's called the Western S Podcast. And some of you may remember him from our last year's live streams over the summer. We were able to do a couple. Greetings, everyone. It's good to see you all. Yeah, it looks like everybody's able to hear us. But yeah, so our podcasts are typically a lot like these live streams and how this live stream will go, where we go through questions and discussions and all that from our patrons over on Patreon. And we do tier lists, all that. So if you're interested in hearing more of this content after we wrap up this live stream, head on over to our Patreon. There are 24 podcasts up over there. So if you're interested, please check that out. It should be in the description. It's good to see you all. Hello from Germany. It seems like we got a lot of people from Europe here, which is awesome. I always try to do my live streams at different times so I can connect with different people from around the world. So yeah, it's good to see you guys. Now, before we go any further, our friend Trey reached out to me on Facebook. He told me that his friend, who he calls his brother Nate, is getting married in February, and he wanted Royan and I to shout him out. So we wanted to wish him a huge congratulations. May the Valar bless you and your spouse on your special day, my friend.
Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good to see you all. From Croatia, Brazil, Philippines, and then Michigan, all this. Yeah, greetings from the US. Hello from Israel. Awesome, it's good to see you all. Yeah, happy Mother's Day as well. Yeah, I always like to do these live streams kind of to kick off the summer, or, sometime around summer, winter, end of summer, that kind of time frame. Especially since we're all still pretty much quarantined, it's a good time for it. And since I'm kind of giving some shout-outs and some thank yous, I wanted to give a shout-out and a thanks to our Valar tier patrons over on Patreon who make all of our stuff possible. Royan and I try to connect with our patrons every month and, yeah, give them that podcast. Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, Kyle Wetzel, Lane Grimes, Mr. Vatnedal, Samuel McBee, Jonathan Putnam, and I'm still trying to figure out how to say this name, but
Kairi Kawaii.
There it is. Wait, how do you say that?
Kairi Kawaii.
Kairi Kawaii. Thank you guys so much, and thanks, Ryan.
No problem.
Yeah, they really help, especially during these uncertain times. Like, I really appreciate how much support we've gotten, especially like our Patreon has grown over the time of quarantine, and I really appreciate that. I know kind of how scary everything is right now. One last shout out that I wanted to thank is Tolkien Gateway, Lord of the Rings Wikipedia pages, all those online resources. They tend to help me like kind of organize and categorize information when I'm making videos. And also I wanted to thank the online artists out there. If you see your work or work of people that you know, I always love to give credit where credit is due. But in the age of the internet, it is hard to find exactly what people's sources are, what their artist names are. So if you see something please let me know, and I'll try to link that in the description of a video where their art is used. And I just found a way to edit all of my descriptions at once, so I can actually go through like a lot, if not all, of my past videos and add artists there. So Now with all that out of the way, we can jump into questions. Welcome everyone. Welcome people that were. I've had this event up for a couple hours now, so thank you all who have stuck around and waited. I really appreciate it. Royan and I, for the past couple hours, have just been playing a bunch of Lord of the Rings online. I see some people have been playing Battle of Middle-earth, which is awesome.
Yeah, Dylan Weiss actually asked if we do play Lord of the Rings online. They were assuming based on the background of the live stream. The answer is yes, and we talk about it every podcast.
every podcast, like, yeah. Over on Patreon, I swear, like we have no Lord of the Rings online news or anything to discuss, and then all of a sudden, that's what we end up discussing for about 20 minutes. It's so much fun. Yeah, if you guys like what you see here today, please check out our Patreon. Let's see here. Sam Friedman asks, what do you think Mordor was like before Morgoth or Sauron arrived? That's a really good question. What I would say is kind of like what we get with Rune and Harad, where it's more this almost not necessarily tropical, but more eastern climate. It's probably nice. Maybe you've got some almost rainforests and stuff like Harad. It's not that far south compared to Harad or Far Harad, but I would say you've got the Shadow. I think that's actually something Shadow of Mordor does pretty well, is when they give the flashbacks. That's probably what I would assume Mordor would have looked like before the Second Age, however, before Sauron ever got there. Probably not in the Third Age, but what do you think, Ryan?
I agree. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I kind of know. Also, I'm kind of having a little bit of connection issues, but I'm working on it right now.
Okay.
So.
No problem. Yeah, no, that's a good question. I see, let's see, Elizabeth Cercenis, Cameron Murray, they all say, make more dwarf content. Will do. Will do. It's funny because, like, I love making dwarf content, right? I mean, all the races are fun and special in their own way, and those videos have a special kind of feeling, just different from each other. But I think I have like 15 videos about the dwarves, solely about the dwarves. But I'll keep making a bunch of dwarf content. Imiel Elenen, I think you're also a patron, so thank you for your patronage. I see you're also a member of our YouTube community here, so thank you very much with all those donations. Who or what first got you interested in Tolkien's works? So for me, it was my dad. I remember him watching The Lord of the Rings when I was a lot younger and stuff, and I'm like, oh, what's this? I always say I specifically remember the Sammath Naur scene with Frodo. It's just like, you know, when you're younger, it's like, what is happening? You know, you've got this pale, bald thing jumping around and dancing all over the place, and he bites off somebody else's finger, and it's like, what? I do distinctly remember that, but he got my brother and I into the games like Battle of Middle-earth and eventually Lord of the Rings Online and stuff, and he got us all into that, and yeah, that's kind of what I remember. How about you, Ryan?
I remember my first memory of Lord of the Rings was when I was a little kid. My dad had gotten a new TV, and in order to test out the new TV, he was going to play the Lord of the Rings trilogy on it.
Oh yeah.
And so that was my first introduction, was watching the movies with my dad as we made sure that our TV could sustain video for as long as it could.
Dude, that's a good test for it. Oh yeah. Hello everyone, joining in. It's good to talk to you all. It seems like a lot of people are agreeing with our answers. It's like their dads got them into Tolkien's works. Oh yeah. Let's see. Sorry for the car outside. I swear, every time I hit record, I always tell Royan this. It's like every time I hit record, there's like a motorcycle or a car right outside. Let's see here. Ooh, Brenna. Oh, I also see we got a recent member, Finrear Fire. Thank you so much for the donation. It means a lot. Brenna McFadden asks, if you had to choose your favorite moment in the history of Arda, which is it? Ryan, you want to go first?
My favorite moment in the history of Arda?
Yeah. That's a really, really tough question. I mean, the classic moment is the ride of the Rohirrim. How it's both in the books and in the movies. I love both of them. And if I had to say one, I'd say that's the one that gets me the most pumped every time. And there's so many themes coming to fruition. You've got the Oath of Yorl and Carry On and stuff, and you've got all this playing out. But yeah, how about you, Ryan?
For me, I think my favorite part is I agree. The Battle of Pelennor Fields is really awesome, but nothing will ever compare to the first time I watched the Battle of Helm's Deep in the Peter Jackson films. That was so amazing.
Huram the Steadfast, thank you so much for your donation. It means a lot, man. Yeah, if you've got a question or anything, just let us know, man.
We also had a donation from Somber Angel 81. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh yeah, there it is. See, yeah, Ryan, man, he's right there. He's right there to pick up the pieces where I don't see them. I will say though, one of the moments I claim to be my favorite pieces of writing. Let me pull up the Silmarillion real fast. I know I've read this in my Beren and Luthien video, and I've probably spoken about it before, but let's see here. One of my favorite, if not my favorite moment of writing out of everything that I've ever read was... Okay, here we go. It is told in the Lay of Leithian that Beren came stumbling into Doriath, grey and bowed, as with many years of woe. So great had been the torment of the road. But wandering, in the summer, in the woods of Naldorath, he came upon Luthien, daughter of Thingol and Melion, at a time of evening under moonrise, as she danced upon the unfading grass in the glades beside Esgaldwin. Then all memory of his pain departed from him, and he fell into an enchantment, for Luthien was the most beautiful of all the children of Iluvatar. Blue was her raiment as the unclouded heaven, but her eyes were grey as the starlit evening. Her mantle was sown with golden flowers, but her hair was dark as the shadows of twilight, as the light upon the leaves of trees, as the voice of clear waters, as the stars above the mists of the world. Such was her glory and her loveliness, and in her face was a shining light. That's like one of my favorite... That is one of my favorite moments. Stars above the mists of the world. Such was her glory and her loveliness.
We got some more super chats coming in.
Oh, awesome. Let's go back here to the first one. Okay. Neil Woods, thank you so much for the super chat. You talked a bit about the Amazon Lord of the Rings MMO in the last podcast, but can you touch on it a little bit more? What does it mean for Latro? What do you want to see in that game? We'll come back. Let me grab the rest of the super chats because that's a bit of a longer discussion. Silver Dragon, welcome to the free person of Arda. Thank you so much for the donation. And Glorfindel, the golden-haired prince. Thank you for your donation. Who is your favorite elf in Arda? This one's probably a little easier to answer, and then we'll come back to the Amazon MMO. Favorite elf in Arda. How about what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
So my favorite elf in the history of Arda, although not exactly a good person, was Feanor. I think he's an incredibly interesting character with a wild storyline, and I love tracking or like trying to like understand his emotions and his thoughts as he goes through what is, kind of like a little bit of a midlife crisis, with some mass murder involved, but
Oh, man, are you on the subreddit like Feanor did nothing wrong?
I'm not actually. I gotta go look into that.
I think that's a subreddit. I know there's one that hates on Manway, but I think there's also one that's like Feanor. I know that's just been a big movement. Is like Feanor's done nothing wrong.
I don't know if I could agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, same. There are people that are like, yeah, no, the kinslayings were justified. I'm like, you better be memeing. You better be memeing, my guy. They were not justified. Yeah, Marion Baggins, it's good to see you. Finrod, that's who I would actually probably say as well. Finrod Felagund. He, I would say, is probably my favorite elf because of how he interacts with men, how he interacts with dwarves, how he interacts with others of his kindred. He's very gallant, very respectful, and just super cultured, and then he gives his life up for a man. You know, I think he's one of the first. No, I think he's the first elf to ever do that, because other elves were kind of like, oh, men's lives are, you know, they're just mortal and they're just whatever. But he actually identified and saw, you know, how great the lives of men were because of his friendship with Beor, that he was able to give his life for Baron. Okay, so now back to that other question. To touch on the Lord of the Rings Amazon MMO. So we talk about the Amazon show and the Amazon MMO like most months, I would say, on our podcast, because Royan and I discuss news over there. This is actually something I think we talked about last time. So I think they're still gathering their team for the MMO, and we really have no other details than I think they just want it to be before the Lord of the Rings. I don't know if it's going to be during the Second Age or just a couple thousand years before in the Third Age. I'm not sure. I'm optimistic about it. I mean, if they're still hiring their entire crew, we have no idea what this is going to look like yet, but I'm hopeful. I don't want it to overcome Lord of the Rings Online, though. I absolutely love Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah, so for me, I agree. I hope that the so yeah, we talked about how it seems like they want to try to do it like before the events of the Lord of the Rings, which is great, because that's kind of when their show is also going to be placed. I think if it was going to follow and expand upon the show's lore, that could be a really good like marketing point for them. Also, if it was going to happen like with the War of the Ring, I've already spent so much time and my life on Latro doing basically all that I don't know if I could like get into another version, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like, my character Yoyston and your character Royan and Lord of the Rings Online, like we're very completionist in a lot of ways, you know. I mean, just the other day you did like Slayer deeds in Gondor with Royan, right? So
I did some mass genocide of woodland creatures so that I could get another trait point.
The things we do for completionist in Lord of the Rings Online. You know, so it's like that kind of, go slay 100 Corsairs, and it's just like, oh man, okay. Like that kind of yeah, if you want. That kind of dedication that we put into Lord of the Rings Online, I'm right there with you. It's just that would be tough to do with another MMO, at least during the time of Lord of the Rings Online, you know? So like, yeah. Celeste Johnston, thank you so much for the super chat. And TJ, thank you for the for joining our, I don't know, community, our join button on YouTube. Thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. Comic Nut 64, it's good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Feeling generous because as of yesterday, I'm a college graduate. Hey, congrats! That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Ryan and I are both working towards that goal right now. But how do orcs replenish their forces? Like corrupting more elves or what? I'm not entirely sure. Like, I'm not sure. We don't really have a lot of information, I don't think, on terms of how they mate or how they continue, to replenish or grow. I don't think it's the primary source of elves like it was during the Years of the Trees. I don't think it's just like, oh, we're gonna corrupt and take more elves, because Morgoth was the one to do that, and I don't even think Sauron has that exact power, you know? I feel like only Morgoth could corrupt in such a way. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how they mated, but I think there is something. I think the movies were onto something in terms of these pits and this kind of almost artificial way of creating orcs. That would be my guess. You almost just kind of use some fell or dark sorcery to do it. That I could see, because you have a lot of these forces coming out of Mordor, where you have somebody like Sauron who is powerful. You have these forces coming out of Isengard, where Saruman is also powerful, and Morgoth at Atumno and Angband. It's like, I feel like it has something to do more with sorcery rather than anything like the Free Peoples, but I'm not entirely sure. I believe it was, shout out to the other Tolkien channels, by the way. If you go to my channel and you look along the sidebar, there are a bunch of Tolkien channels. We're all friends. We all have a Discord server and talk quite often. But shout out to them. I believe History of Middle-earth had a video on that. I didn't ever watch it, but again, I'm not sure if we know that answer, so probably take whatever anyone says about that with a grain of salt, because I'm sure we don't completely know. Corey Allen, thanks for the super chat. But will Tumba move to the Amazon? Do you mean Turambar? Wait, do you mean Turin? Tumba moved to the Amazon MMO. I'm not exactly sure what you mean there. If you wanted to send another chat, I'll look for your name here. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. Parker Parrish says, did Sauron see himself as the hero of his own story? What are your thoughts about that, Ryan?
I always assume that Sauron is looking for order over everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy percent. Yeah, okay. So, and for him, I feel like he was just going to try to create his perfect little like ordering like world. He wanted to be in complete control of a world, and he just picked the one that he was in because that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't know if he would see himself as like some sort of hero saving these people, but I definitely felt like he saw himself as worthy of what he was trying to accomplish, which was complete domination.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And again, in terms of morality and stuff, he once served Aule the Smith, and then he turned to serve Melkor. I don't know if he really thought about the morals of that action. He probably was like, well, Melkor's stronger. He'll help me get closer to attaining that goal of order. Now, innately, when you're trying to control, and I mean, the theme of order, right? Order is kind of... There are some objective truths about order. It's just like if you have an orderly society, right? To where it's like, yeah, a society is run like this and everybody interacts well and all that stuff. But at some point it becomes subjective. And I think for Sauron, objective order had actually become rather subjective for him, which means he's going to take away freedoms. And we see that. I mean, he's fighting the free peoples of Middle-earth. To take away freedom, to have order. And you look at what the Mouth of Sauron or his ambassador at the Black Gate says. It's like, lay down your arms and move west of the Anduin River, and then we'll kind of figure out some sort of, quote unquote peace. But it's like that kind of order becomes tyranny,
Yeah.
Let me see. Corey Allen, thanks again for the super chat. Thoughts on the two blue wizards? So,
that's one of your most popular videos, is the Wizards in Middle-earth.
Yeah. So I would say with them, we know that they're Alatar and Palando. They serve, I can't exactly remember which of the Valar they served as Maiar. I think some of the more lesser Valars who they served, but I could be wrong. They went off east, and I believe Saruman went with them, or at least he also went east. We'll get back to that in a second. We've talked about this a bit on the podcast. So they go off east. We never hear from them again. A couple possibilities. We have that maybe they died in the east because that's where Sauron's tyranny hit first and hit hardest, to where he just conquered these other civilizations that we don't know a ton about. Could be that. Could be that they taught magic or some version of that to the people of the east. It could be that the Easterling King, I've seen this theory, the Easterling King that marches against Erebor during the Battle of Dale in the late War of the Ring, could be that he was one of the Blue Wizards, or he was a lackey of the Blue Wizards, something like that. Because again, it's possible that they turned evil. I'm not completely sure. Now, it's interesting, Sauron kind of goes east with them. At least I remember seeing that in the lore, I believe when I was making the Wizards video. And then he returns, but the other two don't. I've always thought it interesting. Now, he hadn't turned to his own evil desires quite yet, but who's to say that maybe he didn't have some root of that in mind? It is an interesting thought that maybe Sauron betrayed them in the east in some way, and then that's why he alone came back. I'm not exactly sure about this, but if he goes to betray Radagast and Gandalf eventually, it's possible. I hope that answers your question. Mike Becker, thank you so much for the super chat. Will you work with Binging with Babish to do an accurate recreation of foods of Middle-earth? I entered a trip on his channel to go to Middle Earth and Hobbiton sets if I win. I want to bring you, man. Oh, thank you so much. Well, so I'm not too familiar with that channel, and I mean, something like that would be fun though, for sure. Like recreating and really trying to taste the foods of Middle Earth. I'd love to do something with like that with you, Ryan. I mean, those Bjorning honey cakes, man. But
they are big on honey, aren't they?
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, that'd be something like that would be cool. I definitely do want to do more collaborations, but it's always tough with getting everybody's schedules in order and all that stuff. But who knows? Maybe in the future something like that could happen. I'm seeing a lot of drunk histories. Do drunk history of Middle Earth. I don't know about that, Chief.
That might not be in the themes of the channel.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, and also, I mean, it's hard enough being sober and being right about things in the lore. It's hard enough being like on my game and knowing.
Can you imagine your pronunciation if you were drunk? Can you imagine trying to pronounce some of these names from the first stage?
Baron and Luthien went on. Now that would be me, guys. I mean, hit me up with the Prancing Pony Ale, like 10 of those, and it's over. Let's see here. I thought Brennan McFadden, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, and Joe Leamy as well. Thank you so much. Joe, I'll get to yours first here. I'm just trying to keep these all in order. Character/story you wish Tolkien expanded on. We talked. I feel like Ryan and I talked about this. Oh, what would you say, Ryan?
Sorry, can you ask the question again? I didn't quite hear it.
Character/story you wish Tolkien expanded on.
Oh, I wish this was expanded on. So I am a huge fan of the beasts and the other like magical creatures of Middle Earth, and there's a lot of them that they goes into a little bit. But for me, what I want more than anything is like almost a compendium, an encyclopedia, like a Nat Geo of Middle Earth almost.
That would be cool.
I want a David Attenborough series of animal documentaries and beast documentaries. That's what I want.
This is the mummic. We see him in his natural habitat. Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, there are a couple smaller ones. Like, I wish we knew more about what happened in the East and in the South and in the far North during the Third Age, Fordwaith and Rune and Harad and Umbar and all those places. But I've said this before, and to be fair, again, like I obviously I love Tolkien's works. I have a big surprise there, but I do like how Arwen was written. However, I've given a lot of thought about this. Like, Arwen as an expanded character, kind of like Luthien was, I kind of wish she had gone with the Grey Company. I wish she had joined Aragorn in the South to some degree. Now, obviously, what would she have done? That's where it kind of gets a little hazy. I'm not exactly sure how she would have operated on her road south. But that would have been interesting because it's tough. Like, she's only at Rivendell throughout, and then she comes south and gets married. Most people in the story, unless they already knew her, would be like, or if they were like a part of the Fellowship, would be like, who? Why is she our queen? Like, it would have been interesting to see her kind of get a little more expansion. But yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would say. There are other places as well, in terms of maybe Silmarillion backstories and stuff like that I do wish we would have gotten more of. But I'll keep that in the back of my mind. If there's anything that kind of comes up, I'll try to mention it. Brennan McFadden asks, and yeah, thank you again for your super chat donation. Who is your favorite Valar of the Valar? Ryan?
Okay, so we were prepared for this.
We were. Let me get it set up.
Would you like to? Okay, so he's going to set it up. We're going to talk about our Lord and Savior, Tolkien, who is the beefiest of boys, the swollest of the swole, savior of the protein. It just went up on the live stream. I just saw it.
Oh, yeah.
That's our boy right there.
Oh, yeah. No, like
if you're interested in joining the Cult of Tolkos, please let us know.
yeah, honestly, maybe that's what our title, like the title of our Patreon should be, the Cult of Tulkas. Dude, well, okay, like here's why I love this guy is because he's just so absurd. I love it, right? You have Manwë being solemn, overlooking Taniquetil, and overlooking and ruling Amon. You have Olmo ruling from the seas, all stoic, and then you hear this abounding laughter echoing throughout the mountains, and you're like, "What is that?" And then all of a sudden, this guy comes charging at you, right? He's got his protein shake in one hand, his pre-workout in the other hand, and then he just tackles Melkor to the ground, wrestles him, wraps him up in a chain, and is like, boys, like, we're done. Let's go have a feast. Like, that's how I picture it. You know? But no, he's definitely one of my favorites. From a story standpoint and stuff, he doesn't do a whole ton, but again, like, it adds to the absurdity of his character. It's like, what is Tulkas? Like, forget the whole, you know, exile of the Noldor, and forget like the War of the Jewels and pretty much all the events of the Silmarillion. You just send Tulkas in there, Melkor will start screaming. You know, it's like it's over. I just love it. But from a story standpoint, like I would say Olmo, because you know he does actually really care for the children of Iluvatar, and he kind of doesn't put up with the Valar politics so much. Sometimes he'll miss some council meetings because he's out doing stuff. I do like that, because to be fair, when Royan mentioned how like he likes Feanor and stuff earlier, I mean, to be fair, Feanor actually did raise some points. He's like, while you Valar, all of you with all of your power, just sit here in the darkness after Melkor destroyed your 2 trees, while you guys just sit here and pout, like we're gonna go fight him, you know. And it's just like, I get that. Like, why didn't they do anything, you know? Because he was of their people. He was Melkor was of the powers of the Valar. I know he was, like, kicked out, but, you know, he was equal. And it's like, that was their fight, and they didn't fight it. So I do get that.
Got another super chat from Kendrick with a great question.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Kendrick.
He has... Oh, you got it.
Oh, sorry. Any more information on the Lords of Gondor? Would we possibly get a video of them if there is enough information? Anon Alen. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, and that's actually a great point. Ryan and I, when we were playing Latro, we were doing some battle for Minas Tirith, some Siege of Minas Tirith stuff, and yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna write that down. Lords of Gondor. Because who's our boy, Ryan?
Our boy is Imrahil.
Oh, yeah.
Does he have enough information to get a whole video on him?
I'd say so. I mean, it probably wouldn't just be on him. There's probably enough that I could like find about Imrahil to get an epic character history, but I might group him into a video with the Lords of Gondor.
Yeah, I think a cool video idea could be the Lords of Gondor at the time of the War of the Ring. You could dive into Imrahil, Galasco, Denethor, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe their immediate family.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a really great super chat. Thank you so much. That's an awesome idea. What do you guys think, while I'm thinking about it, what do you guys think about a video next week? I've been meaning to do this for a while, the Maiar of Middle-earth. Just let me know in the chat. So we've gotten a couple questions about this. Sigurd Hole asks, you excited for the Gollum game that is coming out? Ryan, so we talked a bit about this. What do you think?
Okay, so I think the idea of a game where you play as Gollum could be really cool. You know, it's pretty different. It's not quite the Lord of the Rings like honor and valor that we've been seeing in past games. A lot more sneaking about, a lot more stinking hobbitses. But
oh yeah.
we saw some screenshots come out, and so there's some screenshots coming out, and I'm really hoping that this is still in development because it looks kind of creepy.
It does. Yeah, it does look a little creepy. Yeah, if you guys want to look that up at some point, they did release a couple days ago. Also, Geek Zone, I think today or like yesterday, made a video on I think on that game because of the screenshots and stuff. So yeah, please go check out Geek Zone. Yeah, it does look a little interesting. Maybe unfairly so. I was also kind of joking, but kind of not. Like, I compared it to the Aragorn's Quest game that came out like 11, 12 years ago. Because at least in terms of graphics, because yeah.
To be fair, looking through the screenshots, the scenery looks awesome of this Mordor. There's tons of details and stuff like that. It's kind of just Gollum's face that gives me the creeps.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. Let me take a look here.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this on the Discord, which you can get access to by becoming a Patreon.
Boom. Look at that plug, guys.
Patreon.com/Men of the West, $1 a month will give you access to the Discord, and that's where we get most of our questions for every single podcast.
Oh yeah, and I try to talk on Discord around at least once a month, at least like in terms of voice chatting. But I'm always down to just like respond to questions and all that kind of stuff on there.
I mean, yeah, it's a little cartoony, but I still am excited for the release of this game. I'd like to see a lot more information on it, obviously.
Same. Yeah.
I'm sure everyone else does.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited as well. And like you said, it seems to be like it's going to be more of a sneaky, stealthy kind of game, which is cool. I'm just curious, like, what's the story going to be like? I wonder if you're going to have a mission where you're trying to like hide from Aragorn. Aragorn's like the bad guy, and he's like hunting for you and stuff, and you're like, oh man, I got to get out of here. Yeah.
Glorfindel, the golden-haired prince, just gave a very funny super chat. Forget Aragorn and Arendelle. Our true heroes are Tolkas and Build a Pony, and you're absolutely right.
Bless.
Build a Pony is a noble steed.
Bless. Thank you for the super chat, dude. That I would watch that, like from a non-canon version, like Build a Pony. He bears the last Silmaril. He takes a ship west. It's the end of the first age, right? He takes the ship west, and the Valar are like, he's a good boy because he came on behalf of all the free peoples of Middle-earth. They send him back on the ship, right? And instead of Eonwë, it's him fighting Encelagon the Black. He hits him in the mouth with like that back kick that he gives Bill the Ferny in the Scouring of the Shire chapter, and boom. Hail,
God bless Bill.
Yeah, hail Bill the Pony. Let's see. Yeah, Marion Baggins. Who do you want to play Tulkas in movies? Do you guys eat mushrooms? I love mushrooms. Yeah, mushrooms are very good. It's nice to have with eggs and bacon and stuff. Who would you have play Tulkas, Ryan?
Well, I mean, for the memes, I want Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dude,
yes! That's for the memes, though. That is. In reality, we're going to need, like... Oh, God. I think I know. What's his name? I'm completely blanking. I'm completely blanking on the character name, too. Who's the awesome wildling from Game of Thrones?
Oh, wait, Tormund?
Yeah, Tormund. Who's Tormund's actor?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me see here. Noel, Kieran's, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll try to work on pumping my volume up.
Oh, okay. So he's portrayed by Christopher Hivju. I do not know how to pronounce some of these Norwegian names. I apologize, but I think he'd be awesome as Tolkas.
Oh yeah, he really would be. Let me see. Is this better? Can you hear me more, Ryan?
I mean, yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Just let me know in the chat. I'm just adjusting my mic here. Yeah, that is one wonky thing about OBS Studio. Let me know, is this better or is this worse? Just as time goes on. Let me see here. Yeah, no, actually, that would actually be pretty good, though. Like, him as Tolkas. Like, you got the big red beard and stuff. The only thing, he would have to get, like, massive, you know? He would have to get huge.
I think you need to pump it a little bit more.
A little bit more. Okay. Let me see here.
Some people are saying it's fine, and other people saying you're quiet. I'm not quite sure what to do here.
Yeah, same here. A little better. Volume is fine is what I keep hearing as well. Let me just move the mic closer to me.
That might be better.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, because we're in two different places, Roy and I, right now, so it's let me see. Okay. Maybe that's better?
Let's hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, no, The Rock for memes.
For the memes.
For the memes.
Because they got to be swole. They got to be buff. They got to be protein in and out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, or like John Cena. But like in his prime, John Cena. Okay. Todd Howard should play Tolkas, says Dylan Weiss. What?
Todd Howard? Like the Skyrim Todd Howard?
Yeah. Yeah, I sorry, the only thing with live streams is it's like I wish I could go back and make sure my volume's all perfect, but you always got just one take.
Yeah.
Fixed. Okay.
Why didn't Smaug want the One Ring? Probably because he didn't know about it.
Yeah.
That's my assumption.
That's probably what I would say as well. And it is interesting because like at the time that The Hobbit was kind of written with different rules in a lot of ways. One of the bigger ones that stands out to me is like Bilbo can just put the ring on and just do whatever he wants. It seems yeah, it seems to be like more helpful than hurtful for him. So it's like yeah.
Bilbo Baggins has been spamming the chat in all caps for a while now. I just now realized the question: will you make an epic history video on important Valar such as Varda, Manwë, Yavanna, and Vanna?
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be perfect, actually. I want to make more epic character histories with probably, yeah, people in the First Age. Yeah, the Valar would be good. It's been a while since, because again, I have my Valar of Middle-earth video, but I could probably, especially now that I know more about that since I've made that video, I could probably expand more. That would be awesome. There are a bunch of epic character histories that I want to make. I still need to make all of those women epic character histories that I put. Oh, what?
Aowen. I voted for Aowen.
Aowen. Oh, yeah.
Elrond's wife Juan, which is great. It was a great video, but still, I want Aowen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to make one with Aowen. I want to make one for Eomir, actually, as well.
Oh, yeah. Our blonde-haired savior.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Elijah Francis Rabor asks, Eonwë sent on the War of the Ring alone and unrestricted, but instead of the Astari, I think. So him unrestricted, it's hard to say. We've never seen his like full power. Let me switch the pictures here. We've never seen his full power, so it's hard to say. But unrestricted Maiar, I mean, he would pretty much equal Sauron, if not dominate Sauron, be stronger than him. Thank you for the super chat, Fenrir Fire. Thoughts on King Thranduil, and thank you for the super chat, Simon Cooper. Thoughts on King Thranduil, Ryan?
Okay, so there's a little bit of mild dwarvish racism. Dwarvish racism has been a topic that has come up a lot in recent times, especially with the new Lord of the Rings online update.
It has been. You have these like three houses of dwarves just like, being racist towards each other.
Our character has set out to stop racism once and for all. That's the joke I always make. As for back to the actual question, I think King Thranduil is super cool. I am also partial to elves. I'm a big fan of what they got going on. But I mean, as far as a character, I wish we knew more about him, and he wasn't just kind of being in the way in most of the Hobbit.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I brought this up on a recent podcast or something as well, but it is interesting, like how Thranduil, he comes in, right? And maybe it's just because of what Ryan and I always say, it's the frame narrative. Because you have Bilbo and like his dwarven friends telling the story kind of the Hobbit, it makes the Elven King seem like worse than he actually is. But like he comes in and he's like, I want that gold. I want all that treasure. So I'm going to bring an army to Erebor. But it's just like, what's your claim on it? I know the Hobbit movie gives you a claim on at least some of that treasure. But what's your claim on that in the book? And that's always...
He has a bigger army than Thorin does. That's the claim.
yeah. I'm just going to take it from you, dwarf. That's what. But yeah, that's always interesting. Yeah, he's a good character. I think I like Legolas more, just because Legolas actually comes to an understanding about dwarves. He actually comes to understand the world more outside of his realm. Thranduil kind of stays cooped up. And that's honestly a thing we see with a lot of elves. It's like, Elrond, what were you doing during the War of the Ring? Oh, I was reading a book. Oh, awesome. It's just like, what are you doing in Rivendell? I know Galadriel and Celeborn at least are like making sure Dol Guldur kind of stays down, and I know that leaks over into Thranduil's realm, but like, I'm not sure. He's a good character though. Valdegast, thank you for the super chat. Who should play Morgoth in the Silmarillion TV series? He'd almost have to be CGI. You hear Royan typing.
I'm just looking something up. So, to me, since he's like a little bit of a shapeshifter going on, he's a shapeshifter, right? I'm not crazy.
Well, he definitely probably is, because I mean Sauron is. I'm trying to think like.
Do we actually? That's where I'm at. I just kind of said that without actually like thinking like, does he actually shapeshift that we know of?
You're good. If the chat wants to throw in anything, I'm trying to think about that. Like, obviously, I know Sauron shapeshifts a bunch, but Morgoth, I think he takes on a little bit more of a fair guise when he's in Valinor, but like, he really stays who he is. Anselm oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I butcher people's names so often. Lafaf says he was, but then he lost the power, right? That was Sauron. He lost the power, I believe, after he drowned in Numenor. But, yeah. Oh, okay, Elijah Francis Rabor says he did appear fair after his capture. That's what I thought. Here's the thing. I could see him being a shapeshifter. He probably is. If Sauron has that ability, I'm sure he does too. But I feel like he always takes on his ability. Also, I think he went into like a lot of stealth and stuff when he was like, like the race of man awoke, and he was just kind of like creeping about on the outside. I believe that was like one of the only times he left Angband was when when the men awoke, when the elves were besieging him. So I think he went into that, but it's not like super explored.
If he's sneaking about, he's probably not in his like massive armored appearance that he's sometimes captured in.
Yeah, I'm not. Whenever anyone asks me with casting, like it's rare when I actually have somebody in mind, because it's always good, to kind of go with newer actors and stuff who have not so defined themselves, but
especially in TV shows because you can hold on to them longer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've got some for Sauron. You'd have to have somebody who is cunning and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not sure. Maybe, Tom Hiddleston, I feel like would probably play a sneakier Sauron than he would Morgoth, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Somebody says Ova Dressed says Eddie Redmayne.
Gotta do a quick lookup on that one.
Gotta do that quick search.
Adam Driver is an awesome actor. Valdegast. I don't know about Morgoth specific.
I'm not sure about Morgoth. He would have to. I feel like Morgoth would also be huge. That's one thing about the Valars. I feel like they're kind of. I mean, Tolkos is the bodybuilder, powerlifter guy, but like they're all pretty.
They're all pretty ripped, bro.
Yeah. Eddie Redmayne. I've not really seen too much of his work, to be honest. But again, he would have to get huge, perhaps have a beard, get some scars, like some, prosthetic scars, that kind of stuff. Benedict Cumberbatch, again, like, I like Knight of the Golden Flower. I like him as my boy Sauron, if I'm being real. But
Benedict Cumberbatch is already a voice of a villain.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Simon Cooper that's kind of almost about to expire.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing a video/series on how Tolkien's Catholic faith is reflected in his writings?
That thank you for the super chat. That would be interesting. I don't know if I could do a series of videos. So the only problem with that is at what point does it become too real? Because I wouldn't want to be interpreting anything in a real religious way. Like, I wouldn't want to be doing that. I would truly just it would be like a building a world video on like how that influenced him. And the tough thing is it would be hard to separate allegory, which I know Tolkien hated, from his actual works. So I'll give the strong maybe. The strong maybe. That would be... I would just have to have a lot of good research done, or it could be a very controversial video. But yeah, thank you. Let's see. Joel... I'm so sorry about butchering your names, guys. Joel Argles?
Joel Argles.
Joel Argles. Thanks, Ryan. Would you come to UK for a meetup in Oxford, see Tolkien's home, college, resting place, and then go for an ale at the Eagle and Child where they used to meet? Honest, that sounds like
sounds
fun.
Awesome.
That does sound fun.
A trip to the UK right now is a little out of the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. Austin H. But yeah, no, that would be sweet. That would be so much fun. Especially to understand, like, I'd want to maybe kind of keep a journal or something to kind of understand, wow, I see how Tolkien's environment was in which he wrote this series of books. That would be very interesting and honestly quite cool for possible videos or whatever it is, just to see kind of his environment. But Austin H, thank you for your super chat. Thanks to y'all. I'm now imagining Tulkas as a younger Norwegian Boomy. Wait, Boomy from... You'll have to elaborate on that one, but yeah, no, I imagine him as huge, and honestly, with that accent and stuff. Or wait, is Boomy the actor?
No, I think you might mean Boomy from The Legend of Korra.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Boomy from like Avatar, dude. Yes, huge Earthbender. I was like, I don't know, I don't know if there are a ton of other Boomies, but yeah, I think you're right. That'd be sweet.
We're on the same page here. We're in it with The Last Airbender. Let's go.
Dude, I just rewatched Avatar.
In a week.
It's so good. Oh, yeah. Let me see. There was a question. Oh, somebody said, why didn't Tolkien like allegory? That's a good question. I think okay, if you're writing a timeless fantasy, like the ones that inspired him, Beowulf, these kinds of things, if they reflect modern values too much, they will stay in that time. It'll be hard to read it because it's just like, oh man, like if you're like, for instance, if you're reading into socio-political things of the time, it's like, man, that didn't age well, But if you're kind of trying to be outside of that, his whole thing was about escapism, So if you're trying to act outside of the parameters of real life, again, if somebody wrote about how, like, tried to write a fantasy about a pandemic or something right now, that might age well because pandemics have always existed. But if you're too specific to right now's time, it wouldn't age super well because it's just like, oh, that's too specific. I don't understand it. It's not good. I think that's part of it. And I think, yeah, the escapism is another part. Trigram Ghost, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. I mean, to be like, that's, I know, not to get into it too much, but I know that's some people's issue a lot with the current Star Wars thing, is it's just like, it seems like there's an agenda being pushed, and it's just like, well, that won't age well, versus the original Star Wars where it's like, man, that was a classic archetypal story with a couple changes here and there. The main villain is the father and that kind of thing. That ages very well, versus if you ground it too much in the current reality, it's just not. It's meh. Yeah, Valdegast says, I think he also felt that allegory restricted the reader's freedom of interpretation. I completely agree. Yeah. Because if you're like, oh, Saruman, a lot of interpretations for Saruman is Nazism and him being Hitler and stuff, but it's just like, again, that does restrict your freedom of how you read Saruman. You lose the idea that he was once a powerful and good wizard with good philosophies that became tainted because he read too much into the philosophies of the enemy.
Someone asked, Sigurd Hole asked, what game is the screenshots that you often use in the videos? If you're referring to the kind of screenshots that's on the screen right now, that game is called Lord of the Rings Online. It's a massive multiplayer online game where you play as a character in Middle Earth. We play it a lot. We talk about it a lot. Here's another one.
Oh, yeah.
This is Edoras.
Yeah, Ryan and I love that game. And honestly, like, from like the beginning of our friendship, that was a big way that we kind of got to know each other a lot more, was through Lord of the Rings Online. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's
free to start,
so much fun.
Of course, like every MMO almost, except for WoW.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the game, you may find a lot of your life taken away, but if you don't, that's cool too.
Yeah, either way. And there are a bunch of games like Battle of Middle Earth and all that kind of stuff. John Ruse asks, what class are you in Lord of the Rings Online? So, I mean, Ryan, you've played every class, right?
I've tried every class. I don't have a character of every class yet still.
Oh, that's fair.
But I've played as them all. I just deleted my old warden.
Oh, yeah. I actually have a couple characters. I think a couple characters for every class except for the captain, because I have like one captain, that's Yoistin. But I have a couple of every characters. Right before the live stream, I was playing my Runekeeper, my High Elf Runekeeper. And it's a lot of fun. Again, I've talked about this in my Lord of the Rings Online video. It's really good about lore, but sometimes, if you see 10 High Elves running around or 10 Runekeepers, it's just like, how are they this powerful? How are characters like this, where it's like Glorfindel and Galadriel are our only two known High Elves in canon? It's like, how is there 15 High Elves here or whatever? It might, depending on how you view the lore, it might get on your nerves. For me, I love writing backstories and looking at the lore that the game gives me, because it actually fits pretty well. So I'm playing a High Elf Runekeeper, and how that works, I actually really enjoy that, because I could see that being very realistic. Because of all the kind of kindreds and stuff, I could see the High Elf being the most magical, if you will. Yeah, my main's a captain. Sorry, Ryan?
Yoistin is a captain, and Royan is a guardian.
Oh, yeah.
I'll disclose that we're both on Arkenstone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you see us running around, say hi. Wave at us. We'll wave back, probably.
Yeah, we'll wave back.
Although sometimes I get messages. Like this happened the other day. I got a message from somebody, and I didn't even notice, and then hours passed before I actually saw the message and read it.
It does happen. But yeah, for sure. If you see us, feel free to say hi. I love interacting with everyone on Lord of the Rings Online. Bilbo Baggins asks, Arian, Spirit of Fire, Guardian of the Sun, versus Sauron. I'm going to have to go with Arian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arian. Guardian of the Sun, Maiar, who keeps running away from the fight.
Boom. Let's see here. Who's your favorite Hobbit from Kate Haynes? Mine's Sam Gamgee. Oh man, but yeah, Sam Gamgee, yeah, for sure.
Sam is the best Hobbit. Full stop.
But yeah, yeah. Are you sure
Bilbo's
it's
cool
not
too.
Pippin?
Bilbo's cool too, but Sam's the best.
That was my dilemma. I was like, wait, have I said I don't want to contradict myself, but like Sam has always been my second favorite character, right behind Aragorn. But yeah, no, he's for sure top Hobbit. In our
Hobbit, did we do a Hobbit tier list, or was it just characters of Lord of the Rings?
Well, remember we did because I was confused on what the tier list was supposed to be for. We did both a tier list of hobbits in general, and then a tier list of the Hobbit characters.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And best Hobbit is Sam.
Oh yeah. Automatic S tier, right?
Just like Grond.
Just like
If you want to see these if you want to see us go through all these tier lists, they've been on the last like 3 or 4 podcasts.
Oh yeah,
which you get access to by going to Patreon/MNLS and pledging $1.
Boom, there it is. This year we did. I think we started with either a Silmarillion. I think we actually started with the Silmarillion character tier list. Then we moved to Lord of the Rings. Then we did The Hobbit and Hobbits, and then we did weapons. We just on the latest one did a named weapon tier list of Middle Earth. Thank you to Royan. He crafted that whole thing.
As it turns out, there's like a lot of named weapons, and just because a weapon has a name does not mean it has a cool story.
True. I'm so sorry. Imiel Elenen, if Caligorm and Curufin were not jerks, do you think the defeat in the Nirnaeth or Arnoediad could have been avoided? Let me see. They were with the Feanorians. They got betrayed by Easterlings. I don't think it could have been avoided because of that betrayal. I mean, there were a couple things during that battle specifically that went wrong. You have, the men of the East come and betray the Western folks. You have Gwindor and a couple other elves just ride in because they, like, cut up his brother in front of him. They just rode all the way into Angband and just, like, forgot formation and stuff. There were a couple things that definitely went wrong there. And then the dragons, just like Glaurung coming out again and just wiping everyone out. Like there were a couple issues. I don't think it could have been avoided.
Ooh.
You see one?
Yeah, I got one here. So, sorry, it's moving up as people put messages in. Okay, so Teargram Ghosts asks Gil-Galad, son of Orodreth or son of Fingon?
Boom. This is the question now. I remember there's a recent podcast. Remember where I just like ranted for like 5 minutes about this, just like incoherently?
I mean, it wasn't like unfollowable. It was just I probably needed to write some things down in order to get it all.
Well, okay, so I like to think Arenian Gil-Galad is the son of Orodreth. And that Orodreth is the nephew of Finrod. For a couple reasons. Because it shows how desperate things got, because the whole... If Orodreth is the son of Fingon, then after Turgon dies, you have that passed to him in the same... like nuclear family in the same kind of line of Finnar or Fingolfin. But if it moves to Orodreth, that makes it like the High Kingship was shared both by the sons and like descendants of Fingon, and then also the sons or I guess descendants of Finarfin. I like the idea that as time goes on, the High Kingship starts to pass further and further down the line. It's not so... Because besides Galadriel, all of the children of Feanor, Fingolfin, and Finarfin are all slain. And that's like... that again, that shows us how dramatic things got. But then when you also have... besides Eärendil and his family, if you have all the rest of the kind of descendants of Fingolfin get wiped out, it shows how dire things are. I don't know. I personally like the idea that it's Orodreth's son, because that like kind of ties how differently things are. I don't know. It's kind of a bit of a rant, but yeah. Because again, it shows it would be like it would pass to his cousin. The High Kingship doesn't just stay within one family; it kind of passes to the cousins. And I like the House of Finarfin as well. And it gets further and further away from the elves that were in Valinor. It kind of gets more diluted as time goes on from the original elves, you know, which is kind of an interesting theme. GMD 52 asks, your thoughts on second breakfast? How long can an average hobbit survive without having one?
Well, we only get that one mention of second breakfast, I believe.
In at least in the movie, right? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good question. How many times do they mention it in the books?
if at all.
If at all, yeah. Now we're talking about the dark stuff. You know, I don't want to go too far down the road. What would happen without second breakfast? I'd say, I mean, you see how skinny actually Frodo gets. Even between the Shire and Rivendell, they can go quite long. They're quite hardy. They might complain a lot, but they can do it.
They're hardy folk.
They're hardy.
Frodo, I feel bad for constantly because he had the roughest of goes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mean Mug, welcome to the. I don't even know what it's called on YouTube, but welcome to the membership, I guess, on YouTube. Thank you so much for the donation. Hologram Nunchuck says hobbits must have had gnarly metabolisms. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Let me see here. So let's see. I keep seeing this question. Fezzyman TFS, are you a fan of Dune? Considering it basically did for sci-fi what Lord of the Rings did for fantasy. I think if Tolkien heard you say that, he'd get really mad. he hated Dune. I don't know Dune actually that really like at all. Ryan, do you know any of that?
I am familiar with the I'm familiar with it. I've never read it before. I understand where people are coming from to talk about like how it kind of set a lot of the standards for sci-fi, which I do feel like Tolkien did a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I can understand that, but I've never read it, so I don't really want to like talk about it as much.
Yeah, that's fair. Elijah Francis Rabor asks, "Who's your favorite son of Feanor?" I've been thinking about this recently as well. I think if I had to say my favorite because of just who they are and how good they are, I'd say Meglor. He's like the second oldest because he does the least bad stuff.
he's the least mean.
Yeah. He really takes to Elrond and Elros as like his own children. And he raises them. He regrets the oath even more than Maithros did. He regrets the oath of Feanor. He's like, can we just go west and really repent? And of all the sons of Feanor, like, I mean, his ending is super interesting. I would say like the most interesting because he throws the Silmaril out in the ocean and then he just wanders the coasts singing sad songs. And like, it's possible that he was still alive during the events of the Lord of the Rings. Like
just this crazy man walking on the beach.
Yeah, singing sad songs. Yeah, that's actually, I would say that's my favorite one. Silver Dragon, it must be so wonderful to have a friend to do something like this with and share a real passion with. Oh yeah, no, I'm fortunate. Got my boy Royan here. Oh yeah.
Heartfelt.
Yeah, good times. Rafi. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, me and Yosin, it's always fun doing stuff like this. I'm really lucky to be able to like be a part of this channel and be a part of this community. You guys are awesome, and it's just a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man. Rafi asks, is Royan or Yoiston taller? Royan's taller. Dude, they try to figure out more about me. Like every live stream, they're like, "Do you have a cat?"
They're slowly putting together a picture.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. The cat.
Yeah.
Cat's name is Turkey. I'm gonna expose you. The cat's name is Turkey. Such a sweet.
There it is.
Kitty.
She's a really good kitty. I had to feed her before the live stream. But yeah. No, and oh, sorry.
Jan asked, "Is Latra worth playing without paying the subscription?" I would say yes, because if you want to start playing, it's a great way of like, because there's enough content at the beginning so that you can get a feeling for like if you actually are enjoying the game and it's something that you want to spend a lot of time on.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's fine if you're just trying it out and stuff, but if you really do like it past level 20, I would definitely VIP it. And it supports the game, which is really a great game, so I'd say it's definitely worth it. Joe Crowley asks, do you think they make Thranduil worse in the Hobbit movies than he is in the books? I mean, it depends on what you're after. Like, in the book, we don't really get too much of him, but I do like a moment he has with Bilbo at the end of the adventure. He names him Elf Friend, because Bilbo, like, gives him, was it the Emeralds of Girion? Or he gives him something that he got, and yeah, that's how Bilbo's named, Elf Friend, which is pretty cool. But again, we don't get so much from him. He's more stoic in the books. But if you like the kind of more, you know, what's the best way of saying it? Like, out there kind of Thranduil that we get in the movies, right? Where he's cutting heads off and he's got his elk and he's
total beast mode.
Yeah. If you like that kind of more, but he's very kind of dramatic, then I personally, I think, like him a little bit more in the book. But I think the actor who portrayed him did a really good job with what he was given, all that kind of stuff.
I really like Thranduil in the Hobbit movies. It's one of my favorite parts of the Hobbit movies is seeing these characters that like you don't necessarily know a whole lot about come out to life. Like I felt like most of the Dwarf Company, I enjoyed the way that they were played. I very much disliked the way Radagast was played. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, great actor. Wish he wasn't a crazy rambling guy with bird poop on his face, because I love Radagast.
That's fair. Yeah, I get that. Valdegast, thank you for the super chat. And in cruel mockery of dogs, Melkor created cats. That's so mean.
That's so mean. They're just little cats, man. They're just friends.
They are. But I think I had this conversation on Discord like a couple weeks ago. So like I'm trying to think of any good cats in the Legendarium. If you guys can help me out, please hit up that chat. But, like, most of the cats we get in the Legendarium are evil, to be fair. We get in the, like, extended notes of Baron and Luthien. We get, originally they were supposed to fight the Prince of Cats. And then we also get that woman from Gondor who's, like, a cat lady and who's, like... a
cat woman.
Yeah, she's, like, an evil one, too. She's, like, from Umbar or whatever. Queen Beruthiel. Yeah, Queen Beruthiel. Take a drink here. Bilbo Baggins asks, what is your favorite clan of elves? Vanyar, Teleri, or Noldor, and why? Ryan? What do you...
I like the Noldor. I feel like pretty much all of my favorite elves are Noldor, so that's kind of... That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're crazy, man. They are nuts. Like, the Vanyar are cool, but we don't know, like, anything about them because they are so goody two-shoes. Which is fine, which is cool. You have to have some elves that are like that. But they all stay in Valinor, and they're, like, Manway's boys. But... And the Teleri are also... Teleri do definitely come in close second, but I would also say Noldor because... You know, they get stuff done, and they are like the main actors in the Silmarillion. You know, and their flaws make them super interesting.
I feel like if I was an elf, I would totally have gone with the Noldor. I would have been like, Valar, it's time to take action. Let's go.
Oh, you'd be a Feanorian. Not only Noldor, but you'd be a Feanorian Noldor.
Well, I mean, let's not take action against each other, but let's take action.
That's fair. I feel like
I stand kinslaying.
Good man, good man. Yeah, I feel like you would have been a follower of Fingolfin for sure.
For sure, definitely.
Oh yeah,
I love Fingolfin.
I either would have been a follower of Fingolfin as well, or a follower of Finarfin. Been like one of the Noldor to like, yeah, I see why we should pursue Morgoth, but like at the end of the day, you turn back, you go back to Valinor, and it's just like, you know what? Like, he's beyond my power, and I don't want to get cursed, so... But, yeah, no, Fingolfin's following into Middle-earth was awesome. Benjamin Kinchin asks, if you were a Maya, what Valar would you choose to study under? What Vala would you choose to study under? Let me get the picture.
Oh, cost back out. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, so okay, I love like weightlifting and going to the gym when the gyms back in the elder days when the gyms used to be open. But so if I were studying under Vala and I was like, dude, I want to do bodybuilding, I'd be like, Tolkas, let's go. But realistically, it would probably be
Olmo. I think I'd pick Olmo.
Yeah, probably Olmo. Get a lot of also that would be sweet because Namo, one of his underling Maiar, he's pretty sweet. Like he's like the crazy side of the ocean. He makes all these storms and stuff. Let me make sure. I think pretty sure that's Namo. Oh wait, sorry. Nano is Mandos. Who's the underling of? I'm sure the live streams got me here. Some say Melkor. Oh no. Arome the Hunter. Yeah, Arome would actually be quite fun as well, riding around and doing your stuff. Olwe. Wait. Let me see. Let me make sure. Olwe. No, so Olwe is the elf from the Falmari. Let me just look up a quick list of the Maiar from Tolkien Gateway. Thank you to Tolkien Gateway. Ase.
I don't know.
Yeah, Ase. Yeah, there it is. Thank you guys. Yeah, he's kind of crazy. Like he's like throwing the tides everywhere, and he goes hard, which would kind of be fun. I mean, yeah, Olmo would be interesting. He is stoic. Actually, I'd probably change my answer to Arome because then you're like out wandering Middle Earth and you're riding around on like horses and you're discovering the elves. You know, you're befriending the elves. Arome is also one of my more favorite of the Valar. Austin H. I forget finer things. I want to grip stuff up and get thick. Tolkas. He gets it. He gets it.
Let's see. Let's go back up and find a good question here.
Yeah, thank you guys all so much for joining us during this. We'll probably go another 40 minutes or so, but I wanted to give another shout out to our Valar tier patrons while Ryan finds us a question here. Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, Kyle Wetzel, Lane Grimes, Mr. Vatnedal, Samuel McBee, Jonathan Putnam, and Ryan. She sent it to me on Patreon, and I'm so sorry. Like, I just got to practice a couple videos and stuff. I will be ready to go.
Okay, so I think it's Kairi
Kawaii. Thank you guys.
Kawaii.
Thank you guys so much for your support, your donations. It means a lot. They really support the channel.
Okay, so I got a question here from Maureen Hubbard. Supposing that Gollum hadn't fallen into Mount Doom, but the ring still ended up being destroyed, would Gollum just have ended up dying by old age, or how do you think he would end up dying?
Well, so Bilbo ends up, who had the ring, not as long as Gollum did, obviously, but he ends up going to Valinor and dying in the Undying Lands. To clarify that as well, some people think, and I've gone back and forth on this, some people think when you go to Valinor that you can't die, but that's I don't believe that's true. Gimli, the hobbits, and yeah, I think they're the only mortals. Tor is like the only exception because he might actually be a man who becomes an elf, but otherwise you have to face the gift of men, so you have to die. So Gollum, without the ring, would die. He would die of old age eventually, because we see how much Bilbo ages in like the 17 years that he doesn't have the One Ring, from 3001 to 3018. He doesn't have the ring because Frodo does, and Bilbo's at Rivendell. So he ages quite a bit during that, and then even between that and the end of the War of the Ring, he gets even older, quite fast. So yeah, he would die.
To me, I think Gollum is long past his expiration date.
Yeah.
If the ring were destroyed in front of him, or he was watching, I think he would just die right there out of sheer like distraught.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very fair. Rafi, I gotta go to sleep because it's over midnight and an early morning tomorrow. Good night, Yoiston and Ryan. Good night, man. Talk to you.
Thank you for staying up and watching us.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll see you on the Discord soon. Marion Baggins, who are the best mothers in Middle Earth? Oh, that's great. That's a great question. And what are your opinions on the Lego video games in Middle Earth?
Do you mean like Lego Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. And
okay.
Like Lego Hobbit and all. Dude, I want a Lego Silmarillion. Let's go.
It's rant time, baby. Let's go. All right. The Lego Star Wars game, and I'd say Lego Star Wars, both sagas. So like the original on the GameCube, and then the follow up with like the original trilogy and that whole complete saga. Those are god tier. So what makes Lego games great is the complete lack of speaking. The fact just watching them try to communicate each other the story without words was my favorite part of every Lego game. Lego Lord of the Rings broke that, and they added voice acting, and that it lost it for me. It lost its charm. Like I want to watch. Like I loved watching in the original Lego Star Wars, where it's just like the prequels, like watching these Legos try to communicate to each other a very tragic event that is the end of Revenge of the Sith, and just watching them like look at each other and make little mumbling noises. Yeah, that was the best part of the whole game. But Lego Lord of the Rings, they added the movie quotes, which is cool because the movies are great, but it could have been better.
I agree.
Have speaking.
It is cool being able to play as like Isildur and Elendil and stuff like during the War of the Last Alliance. But yeah, I agree with Ryan. It's kind of nice with without that voice acting and stuff. And honestly, I do kind of wish games went. And that's one thing I do love with Lord of the Rings Online. If they kind of diverted a little bit more from the movies. Now I know more people know the movies more and all that kind of stuff, but like if they went in their own, like if they went in the direction more of the books, because yeah, when you're adding lines in from the movies, then you can only do scenes that are in the movies. You can't do like Tom Bombadil and all that kind of stuff, which would have been awesome. I don't believe Tom Bombadil was in that game for as far as I know. So as for your other question, best mother in Middle Earth, I'd have to go with Gilrain. Aragorn's mother. So I only noticed this somewhat recently. Maybe I noticed it before and forgot, but like her final words to Aragorn was Onen I estel edain, u chiben estelanim, meaning I gave hope to the Dunedain. I have kept no hope for myself. Now, if you notice in the movie, actually, in the Return of the King, when Elrond gives Aragorn Anduril, and they have those elvish words at the end of the scene, those are they. Those are the elvish words that they say. They actually quote Aragorn's mother. I give hope. Well, it's a little bit different. I give hope to men. I keep none for myself. It's a little bit different, but I love that. I love that. And she took her son to Rivendell to make sure that, and gave him a new name, a name meaning hope, to make sure that he could at least have a shot at life. There are definitely some other ones as well. Celebrian and Morwen and stuff. They are definitely good parents, but I think for me, Melion is also a really good one, but I think for me, Gilrain takes the cake.
Nice.
How about you, Ryan? Do you have any preference there?
Sorry, I'd like just opened the chat again, and I saw from Enchanted Luck that Engolion is the best mother, and I'm with him. Mother. I can't think of anything that's better than that. So that's how we're gonna go.
Oh man, I like that. I like that. I just imagine her interacting with Shelob. It's just, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Let's see here. Wait, Tom was in the game? Tom Bombadil. I mean, I feel like Tom Bombadil has gotten so popular. Tom Bombadil, Lego Lord of the Rings. Oh, it looks like he was. My bad. It looks like Tom Bombadil was in Lego Lord of the Rings. But was he was his Old Forest thing a scene, or was he just a character, is what I wonder. Because when I played it, I just remember there being movie scenes, which was awesome, but... Spurs Fantastic 123. Hi, I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge fan from Norway. Greetings from the US. It's good to talk to you all. Marion Baggins says no, he wasn't. I don't, again, like, I don't remember his scene, like the old forest scene, at least. Like, because, again, they kind of skip over that in the movie. It's like, they go from Buckleberry Ferry to West Gate of Bree. Let me see here. Frederick II of Prussia. And Frederick, yeah, you've been around for a couple hours, so thanks for hanging with us before we even started the stream. Idril was a good mother, defending Eärendil from Maiglin. She fought like a tigress. That's true. Yeah, Idril was a very good one. Also, Erethel, Torgon's sister, because she took, I believe, like a javelin or something for Maiglin, for her son. She did that kind of self-sacrifice and stuff, but...
So Tom Bombadil is a playable character in Lego Lord of the Rings. I do not know if he has like a level or an episode.
Oh, gotcha. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah.
But you can definitely purchase him.
Ah, that's cool.
For 125,000 studs, everybody, for your completionist of Lego Lord of the Rings.
Phil Alexander, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think the Edain were granted a longer life when they went to Numenor, or do you think the shadow of Morgoth mentioned in the debate between Andraith and Finrod was removed from them? Well, it's so let me think about the name. One of the names of Numenor, Anarose, was, I know one of the names meant the gift. And just as Numenor was a gift from the Valar to the faithful Edain, thus called the Dunedain, so too was the gift of longer life. It would at least make more sense, because if the shadow of Morgoth was removed from them, then I also imagine it would be removed from the people like the Druidain in Middle-earth, or even the faithful dwarves of Durin's folk in Moria. Right, this kind of evil has left the world, so I think everybody would have kind of inherited in that, at least anybody that would have stood against Morgoth. And then you'd probably also see the reverse effect. I mean, Haradrim and Easterling, or well, I guess Haradrim weren't around back then, but Easterlings, they would have had like shorter lives. I think it was a gift, because that was a very specific thing that the Dunedain and their descendants shared in, I'd say. Benjamin Kinchin asks, do you think the sword Orcrist was Ecthelion's sword he dropped as he fought Gothmog? Oh, absolutely. I honestly always think that's canon, because that's what I always think is... and Roy and I talked about that on the last podcast. It was... for anyone who's new joining us, you can catch our podcasts over on Patreon, just $1 a month. Help support the channel, and there are 24 episodes over there, so a lot of content to help through the quarantine. I always believe Orcrist is Ecthelion's weapon, just as Glamdring was Torgon's. So, yeah, absolutely. I just don't know how those weapons came to be in a troll cave.
That is a fun story, like, that I would like to know.
For real, to that earlier question then of like what expanded story, that would be one that I would like to know. Maybe I'll have to
make the story of these two swords.
yeah, exactly. I am curious. Like, maybe I can make a video. I'll add that to my list too of perhaps. Let's see.
Theory crafting.
Well, I was thinking more like. Maybe the untold stories of Tolkien, like something where it's just like what happened, the things he never tied up. Yeah Never tied up. Haley Ray Zhang asks, and thank you for the super chat, what are your thoughts on Gothmog at the Pelennor being Eärendil, and do you like how Latro has portrayed him? I absolutely love how Latro portrayed him, and because we don't get Gothmog the commander necessarily knowing that we're not sure he's an orc. In the movie, it's just like, that's easier. He's an orc, and that's honestly
a creepy, like tumory orc.
Yeah, he was something. Age of Men is over. But I like the idea that he's a lesser wraith, or perhaps that he's even one of the Nazgul. There are actually arguments to be made that he's like against him being one of the Nazgul, but Mordrith, this character that they made in Lord of the Rings Online, I absolutely love that, because your first time fighting against him, and then the reveal, spoiler alert for the Osgiliath update of 2015, I think. It's been out for, I think 5 years. You were walking through Osgiliath, you're trying to break down Grond, and then you turn around.
Wait. Someone's asking no spoilers.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Ryan, you're the best, man. Thank you for catching me. All right.
John Ruiz.
John, thank you.
You just
caught me right before. All right. Anyway, Alex Schechter, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Gollum falling was literal intervention by Eru or just suggested? And could Durin's Bane win a fight versus Smaug? He's a Maiar, but seems weaker.
Well, let's answer the first one and then get to the second one. Do you think Gollum falling? I don't know. If you're gonna take every like little item of chance as intervention from Eru, then you could go all as far back as Gollum losing the One Ring in the first place for Bilbo to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, Royan's exactly right, and this is something that I touched on in my last video, the Oaths, Curses, or Oaths, Dooms, and Curses of Middle-earth, or whatever. It's really how much, I guess, philosophy you want to read into it. Is there free will, or is there determinism in Middle-earth? Is everything determined by Eru? And like Ryan said, is it just like, you could read in so much. It's like the winds come right before the Battle of Pelennor Fields and push back the dawnless day, and that's how you actually break the clouds of Sauron and you have that dawn. I've always liked to think that maybe that's the Valar being like, we're with you, we here, we seeing you, Theoden, and then pushing, like Manwë pushing back the clouds. But it's possible that it just happened and that's like free will. But yeah, you can read it either way, and I like that it's up to interpretation. Personally, I do think Gollum falling was Eru Ilúvatar pushing, because he had to fulfill the dooms that Frodo, and actually somebody said in the comment section of the last video, Faramir also put a doom on Gollum that kind of led him to that end. I think Eru was like, oh, you betrayed him, bippity boppity, you're going in the lava. So I'm getting tired. It's been an hour and a half.
Before we move to the second part of Alex's question, in the movie, I remember it's either Faramir or one of his rangers that says like Gollum fishing in the waterfall underneath Henneth Anún. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Henneth Anwin.
Yeah, okay. Like, it's like the crime for that is death. What do you think about that?
Oh, there's another, you stack dooms and fates and foretellings on top of each other. Eventually, it's going to give way. Eru would be like, all right, either you die in this volcano or I'm going to, like, smite you with some lightning. Like, I feel like at some point, depending on how much power you give curses, it had to happen. That's a good point. Yeah, if you go in the pool, you're dead. And to the other part of the question, that's one of the ultimate... I'm going to have to make a Durin's Bane versus Smaug video at some point, I'm sure. I think it comes down to circumstance. I think on an open field, Smaug wins, but I think in a cave, Durin's Bane wins. So if they fought in either Erebor or Moria, I think Durin's Bane would win, because he would just be able to move around like faster, with or without wings, right? We're not sure if a Balrog actually has wings or not. But yeah, with or without, he'd be able to move around a lot more, like a lot better.
Since Balrogs are kind of their main weapon is fear, do you think Smaug would be feared, or do you think he would be frightened by Balrog?
Oh, possibly. I mean, the whips of the Balrog and that kind of, like, they are pretty much demons. It's possible. Yeah, you got that darkness element, not just fire, but yeah, darkness. No, that's a really good point, Ryan.
Shadow.
That shadow. Tolkas versus John Cena. Tolkas. Sorry, John Cena. I know you can't be seen, but like, my guy. You're going against Tolkas.
What would happen?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to read Seku's question. What would happen if Durin's Bane killed the Fellowship and found the ring? Would he challenge Sauron, especially considering that the Balrogs always seem more like brutes than leaders? I mean, the Balrog doesn't follow Sauron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just kind of a concurrent force, you know, and that Sauron's pretty happy about.
Just the ring is Sauron's like creature, I guess is a way that you could put it. I don't even know if the Balrog would be affected or like even notice the ring.
Yeah, and that's another question. Is just like you have one of two ways that the Balrog became alerted of the Fellowship. I mean, and maybe they're both correct, but like Pippin throwing a stone down a well, like he does at the Chamber of Crossroads. Yeah, but then you think, you're like, did Pippin get Gandalf killed? If I were him, I'd feel so bad for the rest of my life. Like, even knowing Gandalf comes back, I'd be like, dude, I'm so sorry. You have that possibility, but also it could be that Durin's Bane was sensed the power of the One Ring and went towards it, and that he would not have let it go if Gandalf wouldn't have been there. So Gandalf's death was inevitable. But yeah, I mean, could he sense the power, or would it have any effect on him? I think it would, because it had an effect on nearly every creature, which is a possibility as well as to why the elves or the eagles never flew them to Mordor. I think he would have probably burned Lothlorien down and probably just started to kind of be awful all around Moria, but I don't know if he would have had to do too much. I think Sauron probably would have had to invade Moria to go get the ring. Let me see. Armand Rampersad asks Turin versus Tor. So yeah, Ryan and I talked about this. Well, we talked about the weapons that they used in our last podcast. Turin obviously uses Gurthang, and I feel like it's because of that sword, and also the sword's. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast too, but that sword speaks because it agrees to take Turin's life. So that one is kind of sentient, kind of powerful. Turin never actually loses a straight battle because of that sword. Like, sure, Glaurung put a curse on him or whatever, but like every time he was engaged in a battle with that sword, he never lost, which is one thing. But if Tur used, I would say Turin, unless Tur used Dramborleg. If you guys don't know Dramborleg, that's an axe that in like the Unfinished Tales or the Book of Lost Tales that he used, it kills like 3 Balrogs during the fall of Gondolin. If he used that, then it's a really close fight. But I don't know. I might still say Turin on a one-on-one. Any questions grabbing your eye, Ryan?
XN2T22 asks if I've read The Wheel of Time. I have not. It's definitely on my list of fantasy novels that I want to get through, but right now I'm trying to get through Terry Pratchett's whole series on Discworld, and that is going slow. And I know that Wheel of Time is also a massive series with lots of books and lots of stories. So maybe one day, but not yet.
Let's see here. Paul A. It's good. Good to see you, Paul. Axis OP, please nerf.
I don't know, man. I'm always more of a spear guy myself.
Oh yeah. I like swords, and then I would say second to swords. If we're just looking at melee weapons, I'd probably if we're looking at all weapons, I'd probably say bows second to swords. But sword axe, I like those axes. Let's see. Irenian Gil-Galad asks, of the book characters who didn't make it into the movie, who is your favorite? Of the ones we didn't see, probably because we do see like Gil-Galad. I like Gil-Galad. We do see Círdan, if barely in the fuzzy background. We do see him. I'd probably say Glorfindel, right? I mean,
Glorfindel's a good character, but I understand why they wanted Arwen to have a bigger role in the story.
Oh, exactly. For sure. Exactly.
Me, I'm going to pick Tom Bombadil, which is a very, like, basic answer. But the reason I want to back it up is because I think that I really want to see the Barrow Downs scene in the film. I want to watch the hobbits kind of get past their first trial, almost.
I guess that's what I should say first. Yeah, to Tom Bombadil. Besides Tom Bombadil, because for all the reasons Ryan just said, I absolutely agree with him. The old...
But Imrahil is... Reagan Smash seconds. Imrahil. Oh, how can I forget my favorite boy?
Oh, Imrahil. Oh, Halbarad. Wait.
There's so many.
There are so
We're
many.
losing our minds.
Oh, yeah. I'd probably say I'd like, just overall, I would have loved to see more Rangers. So actually, I'm going to change that from Glorfindel to Halbarad, because I do actually really like that they gave Arwen that moment. Because even if we did see Glorfindel, and actually he might also be a background character that we see. So yeah, Halbarad, probably.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah,
or
Imrahil. I love Imrahil. Sorry, what were you going to say, Ryan?
Anais just also put two awesome characters there, Eladon and Elrohir.
Clap it up.
Sons of Eladon, which would have been great. There's so many great characters. You guys are hitting them all pretty much.
Yeah, Erkenbrand, Green Lady Flamingo. Love Erkenbrand. Yeah, no, there are so many good ones. Hunt Clan Hunt asks, what are the lands outside Middle-earth? As in beyond the edges of the map we normally see. So we can't say definitely for sure. I don't think Tolkien really ever made a canonical map of the entire world, but a lot of people seem to think if Middle-earth was Europe, then if you look far to the south past Harad, you've got a continent that looks a lot like Africa. If you go further to the east, you've got like Asia and Rune and stuff. But again, it depends on your interpretation. If you're going completely outside of allegory or what we know in the real world, then it's like no idea. But
I always like to think that if you go far enough north, you'll begin to see some of the wreckage from the War of Wrath.
Yeah, I like that. Atumno especially, because I know the cold that lingered in the north, in Forokel and Forodwaith, that cold is a legacy of Morgoth. So it's possible, like, yeah, beyond the map, you actually maybe could see Atumno. I think Angband...
Also...
sorry, what was that?
Wait, just Earth science.
Oh, yeah.
As you go farther north, you get colder because there's less direct angle of sun.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that here. Middle Earth is flat. At least it was flat. And I don't know if... I think Tolkien originally wanted to change that. It went back and forth. But yeah, no, that's true. As you go closer to the caps, you get that.
I can already see the clickbait title. Tolkien confirmed flat earther.
I can see like the thumbnail that goes with it. It's just like Tolkien smoking his pipe and just like a mind exploding and then just like a light bulb above that person, and it's like, oh yeah, the flat Earth. It's like, whoa.
That's an awesome documentary. Not related at all to Lord of the Rings, but while we're just chatting, Beyond the Curve on Netflix. Go take a look at that. That's a wild ride.
Don't they like prove how flat Earth it's not a thing?
Well, one of the things, there's like, you follow a couple groups of flat earthers, and there's these guys who they try to prove that the Earth is flat by taking a by taking a electric gyroscope, and they're trying to prove that it doesn't drift. And there's a lot of science behind that. I'd suggest going and watching it so that they could explain it better than I can. But it turns out it did drift, and it drifted exactly as it would if the Earth was round. And the guys who were trying to do this experiment, remember, they're flat earthers. They're like, So it actually did drift, but the reason why that happened is because of heaven energies are infiltrating our electric gyroscope. And so they try to put it in a box.
Oh, man.
And they can't find a box with the correct metal that would stop heaven energies. So yeah, go take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean,
there's more experiments that they try to do. It's honestly, I like it. I like it a lot. It has a great message. The documentary has a great message about science communication and why it's important to not like belittle people based on a lack of understanding. So
Yeah, no, that I've heard about that. It sounds interesting. I mean, you could try that experiment from like Numenor. Okay, guys, we're gonna sail around the world. Theoretically, we should make it back if the world is circular, and you just like go and drift right off the edge of the earth. And Iluvatar's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Oh man. Let's see here. Imiel Elenen asks, "What do you think happened to Radagast after the War of the Ring?" Royan, I'm throwing that question to you before I give my answer. I know Radagast is your boy.
according to Lord of the Rings Online, Radagast goes to the north in the Vales of Anduin at the place called Rogspel. I think that's how you pronounce it, and is he's trying to like make animal lives in Middle Earth better because they are also victims of the war of the ring and all the destruction and fear. And so my personal understanding is that Radagast goes into nature. He's not going to return to the west like Gandalf would. He's just going to become one with nature and live with his birds and his animals. And I love Radagast. He's such a good boy.
He is. He's awesome. Yeah, I would actually agree with your account and Latra's account of. Yeah, I think he probably stayed around in Erin Losgallen, and because I don't think he ever went west because Gandalf was like the only one who succeeded in his mission. Gandalf, of the 5 wizards sent, he was the only one. And he was the one who was most doubtful of himself. He wasn't sure, like, he was scared of Sauron and stuff, and you've got that whole thing to where it's like he becomes Gandalf the White, and he returns west and until, he returns to Middle-earth until his task is done, and then he returns west. I think Radagast, his physical body, probably faded alongside elves. He probably became just a Maya of nature. And he always served Yavanna and stuff anyway, so he probably just kind of remained a spirit of nature in Middle-earth, which I like. But it's possible that something else totally happened. We're just theorizing here. Armon Rampersad, before this ends, we must find out who this Yoistin really is. He's a captain on Arkenstone, Lord of the Rings Online.
There's a lot of yoys on Arkenstone.
There is. If you see a character with... Well, okay, I shouldn't say that, because now people are going to go make characters with Yoy in the name. The only one that I can confirm is Yoistin on Arkenstone. If you see somebody with Yoy in the name, it might be me, but it also could be somebody, like, trying to be me, and that it's not actually me. So only trust Yoistin. If you see another... I'm not sure, right? Yoistin, and the kinship is Men of the West, which is awesome. So I don't want anybody trying to, play and act as me or Royan or whatever.
Yeah, Royan is my character's name. I do not have a word in all of my names. I don't have that. I just have Royan, and then I have other characters that I've worked into my backstory. My Avengers.
Oh yeah, yeah. So if there's another Yoy coming and saying something to you, like, it's probably, again, I don't want to be held responsible for some impersonator. So. Oh no, Comic Nut 64. Cue fake Tinder profiles. Uh-oh.
If you can find Yoistin in the game on Arkenstone, he's a bit of a cutie. So you can take some screenshots and make that your Tinder profile.
Oh, thank you, right?
Dejwaqua asks, where did Yoy come from? Explain yourself.
Well, it came from a word that I made up when I was a lot younger. I'll say that, yeah. Because I'd always create my own world, right? Like, I tried to, like, when I was a kid, right? I'd like write my own stories, and it was like it was based kind of like off of Middle Earth, right? Like the Yoy land, and then there were like these Yoy people, and just like that's where that word came from and stuff. So I put it ever since I also started playing Lord of the Rings Online when I was younger, so I put that word into the names, and they stuck on Arkenstone. On the other servers, on Honor, I only play on Arkenstone and the legendary server Honor. I have other names that don't have Yoy in it. let's see here. Josh Zimmerman asks, "Hey, Men of the West, what is your favorite Middle-earth book and character?" So we had this question on our podcast, our latest podcast. To give that another shout out, if you're interested in our 24 episodes of the Westernest podcast, please check out our Patreon, just $1 a month. And Royan and I do stuff like this live stream every month. We talk to our patron members on Discord, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, check that out. But to sum up, I mean, so what's your favorite Middle-earth book and character? If I had to say my favorite, it would be, in total, it would be Return of the King, right? Some of the best moments, some of the best characters in that one, and you get like a lot of different parts of Middle-earth in that. But if you're saying book, because each big Lord of the Rings book is actually split into 2 books. If you're saying I could like only, have one or read one, then I would say book 1 of Fellowship of the Ring is probably where I'm at, because you got Arnor, you got the Shire, and got a bunch of characters, that kind of thing. Favorite characters, definitely Aragorn.
For me, I actually answered this, and I believe in the podcast I answered book 2 of Two Towers. I think that was what I chose, mostly because of the Battle of Helm's Deep. But I'm going to change my answer to book 2 of Fellowship of the Ring, because the actual Fellowship of the Ring is some of the best like character interactions in writing. And I love having all those goons together until the unfortunate end of spoiler Boromir, rest in pepperonis, and then the breaking of the Fellowship, which is big sad. Yeah.
I think you actually originally said book 1 of Return of the King, but yeah, no, I get you.
Also awesome, because the book 1 is like watching the Rohan start coming to Gondor's aid, and there's all this hope that's coming out of it. Don Harrow, there's like there's all kinds of stuff going on in book 1 of Return of the King that I love.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So we're coming up on maybe about 10 more minutes left of this live stream. Let me.
Mean Mug asked a question that I want to read.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Mean Mug asks the question: are Bounders a military group, or are they just like cops? To me, the Bounders are more like the neighborhood watch. That's so always good. The vibes that I got from that.
Neighborhood watch. Oh no. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, if you're just giving us those 2 answers, like, I mean, military watch, like they do have some sense of power and all that kind of stuff. Not as much as the sheriffs, because the sheriffs are kind of like the authorities of the Bounders. But yeah, I mean, they can really be either, because I feel like, if you're talking about a state militia, cops that serve the state become that militia in some sense. So they're kind of both, but honestly, I love my hobbits, but they're hobbits. So they really aren't like running around shooting people with their bows like brigands or anything. What they're really doing is like tasting beer at like the Golden Perch. They're walking around and like tasting ale and smoking pipeweed and stuff. They're not doing a ton. So yeah, they're kind of like the neighborhood watch. Yo, I think I saw a Nazgul. Anybody near Woodhall area? Yeah, I think I saw that too. Well, he was headed over towards Mickle Delving. Yeah, no, is that what that sound was? It's just like, that's what you would get out of those guys, I think. Oh my gosh. I do want to shout out. So, I was playing Battle for Middle-earth with my brother recently, and we were playing the Edine mod with the Rise of the Witch King expansion. Dude, so the Edine mod, I wanted to shout them out. I love their mod because they keep adding to it, and they keep adding things from the book. At one point, I summoned Vingalat, the ship of Earendil, and I'm like, this is sick. It was like right in the middle of battle. It was like floating above me in the sky, boosting my troops, because I was playing Lothlorien, and I was like, oh my gosh. Love that. And oh, sorry?
Is that broken? I feel like that would be broken.
It was a little bit broken, but I loved it. I don't care. Earendil is broken, dude. But I also wanted to shout out, we've been talking about Lord of the Rings Online. I've been playing a RuneKeeper recently, Also, super awesome. Love the Runekeeper. So yeah, if you guys want to check out Middle Earth games, check out Battle for Middle Earth. Check out Lord of the Rings Online, all that stuff. It's a ton of fun. Let's see here. Also, I think we've gotten a couple questions on the Amazon series. We've talked a bunch about that. I did want to just touch on it before we ended.
Pretty much every month on podcast we talk about the Amazon series.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want kind of our play-by-play action or commentary on how we've been getting news and all that stuff, again, please check out our Patreon and our podcasts over there, because we've been doing our podcast for about 2 years now, which is crazy. But so we've really covered a lot of that news over there. But ultimately, I'm excited for it, except I'm a little bit scared hearing rumors about Tom Shippey being out. I don't know if that's true or if it's because they finished the script. I have no idea, and I don't want to commentate on anything like too much. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what they do for it, and there will be a lot of content covering show-related stuff on the channel. Any thoughts on that, Ryan?
I mean, for me, I've always on the podcast talked about how I am cautiously optimistic about the show. I'm gonna watch it pretty much no matter what when it comes out. I hope it's good. I hope it's above all, I hope it's good. I can forgive some lore fudging, and as long as Yoisten, you talked about this on the podcast. As long as it keeps intact the themes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's good. So
Yeah.
We don't really know a lot. We talk a little bit about everybody who has been like confirmed, casted and all that. But like, we just don't know enough about what's going on in order to, and our speculations are just kind of like crazy and out there. So it's really not that much. There's not that much that we can do.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm exactly with Ryan. It's just like if they do the themes and do all of that well, yeah, we'll like it. We'll appreciate it. Tyler Lund, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. So, any last questions here? We're gonna call it in a couple minutes here. I will put on the. Let's see. Oh, I should have had something in the background. Bear with me here as I find our classic end picture.
Oh, it's full black.
Yeah, with the black. Picture should be coming up any second. There it is. So yeah, just any last minute questions here. I do want to give another shout out to our patrons over on Patreon. They've been helping us keeping us afloat. Thanking you all. I want to thank you all for continuing to watch during quarantine, during the crazy time that we live in. Again, all these kind of help Ryan and I stay afloat during all this. And yeah, so I want to thank our Valar tier patrons. Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, Cal Wetzel, Lane Grimes, Mr. Vatnedal, Samuel McBee, Jonathan Putnam, and here we go. I'm going to get it. Kairi Kawaii. Kairi? Is that?
I think possibly.
Let's go. Let's go. Kairi, if you watch this, just let me know if I butchered that again or if I've got it. I hope to get it real soon. Thank you so much. Thank all of you guys so much for the donations and all that. Let's see. Yeah, we'll take a couple more questions here. John Ruse, who's Mrs. Proudfoot's spouse? Don't even get me started. Ryan, have you seen that meme?
I have not seen that meme, no.
Somebody, I swear, either they changed it on Google or that was a part of the meme. It was like, who's Mrs. Proudfoot's spouse? It's got like Melkor, Aragorn, Sam, Gimli, and like she's got like 18 spouses on Google.
Ara Mahan has been asking this question for a little while. If they remade the Lord of the Rings movies, do you think the remakes would be better or worse than the originals? To me, I think the only way that they could make Peter Jackson's films better is if they took everything that happened in the Peter Jackson films and then also added more, made them even longer.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's have 6 movies instead of 3. Let's have every book be its own movie.
Yeah.
Actually, that might be a little bit much, but you get what I mean.
No, I agree with Ryan. No, and again, it's like they got the casting. I mean, no matter what people's problems with the movies and stuff are, and many of that, like they're warranted, they're valid. I don't want to disparage any of that, but like the casting was so dang good. Viggo Mortensen is Aragorn, you know? So like that would be the hardest part, is recasting Gandalf. Ian McKellen is Gandalf. Like that would be rough. There are some characters that I could see recasted, but not the two of them. I love those guys so much as their characters. So yeah, I mean, really, if they added more, would be the only way that would make sense. Josh Lee asks, which is your favorite villain from Middle Earth? For me, it's Sauron, because he throughout the ages is kind of in the fray, and he uses different strategies, which I really like. First age, he's like a werewolf vampire guy doing his thing. Second age, he's like more like a Loki kind of character. He, in a lot of ways, he knows he can't dominate through warfare, but sometimes he does use warfare for sure. But crafting the rings, trying to get them to like conquer the leaders from the inside out, right? Corrupting Numenor. He was much more this like Loki, I'm going to destroy them from the inside out kind of guy. And then the third age, he was the looming, like Melkorian kind of threat, which I like. But yeah, Ryan, who's yours?
I think Feanor. I just really like his story. I think I would consider him a villain. So
ooh, yeah, interesting.
So I like him. A lot of people are asking about your end picture and the significance or what it means.
Yeah, I'll speak to that in just 1 second. Thanks to Shelly Greenaway for the super chat. Really appreciate it. So if you're interested in that end picture, I actually was able to connect with the artist that made it 5-6 months ago. The final image, called Bag End, was created by Wayne Glassbrook at designly.net. Apparently, way before my channel even like started, or maybe not way before, it was like the early 2010s. The artist entered it into a kind of a design thing or it was just like a what is it? Kind of just this art program or whatever. You can learn more about it at Designly. The words are escaping me right now, but yeah, he entered it into kind of this contest or whatever, and I connected with him, and he's really cool. He's a really cool guy. So yeah, if you're interested, I have that linked in my description. Let's see. So we'll take one more question. And Ryan, thank you so much, sir, for joining me. My good friend, one of my best friends here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll let you, grab the last question while I pull up our end music.
Oh gosh, there's so many questions. This is so much. I think since we've been talking a lot about Latro, John Ruiz has asked, "What's our favorite areas in Latro?" I know Yoisen's answer off the top of my head, so I'm sure he'll get to that in a moment. To me, my favorite region is Dol Amroth. I have a lot of great memories there. It's actually that's South Gondor is where Royan as a character like was born. Not for real, but you know what I mean. And I love the history. I love Prince Imrahil, as I talked about earlier. I love the actual like just riding around the region in there, and it's incredibly beautiful. And I love the seaside. I love my house. My houses. I've bought in a couple houses in in the Dol Amroth or the South Gondor, like Cape of Belfast, including a kinship house for a character. Royan bought a kinship house, and then he's no longer in that kinship because I had to move Royan to the Men of the West. For obvious reasons. But some of my other characters are still in this beautiful kinship house that me, Yoist, and some of our friends put together. That is a little bit chaotic, but I still love it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm right there with them. I do love Belfalas and stuff, but it's hard to say my exact favorite because I do love the Shire. I do love all these places, Lothlorien, Rivendell. But one of my favorites that speaks to me personally is Evendim. And this is, I know what Ryan knows me too well. This is what he was thinking. Evendim and Numenos. And this is actually one area that I wish we could expand on and all that kind of stuff, is because I'd love to learn more about Numenos and the elves that dwelt beside Lake Nunuiel and the hills of Evendim and all that kind of stuff. Just how Lord of the Rings, especially in Lord of the Rings Online, how they put it together with the music and the rangers kind of protecting their old kingdom and their old capital. I love that. And I mean, there are also personal reasons, kind of when I was questing through it one time, just that point in my life, right? How it kind of connected to me. So I was having such a great time, you know, and it was just, it's such a nostalgic place for me. So, yep, as everybody's starting to point out, they can hear the, I got the end song playing here. So, Ryan, thank you again, sir. Any final thoughts?
This has been so much fun. You guys are really awesome. I love doing these live streams with you guys. Thank you so much for everyone who donated using the super chat function. You guys are really awesome. Thank you so much to all the patrons. If you guys are interested in Patreon and like seeing more of the content that I'm a part of, like it'd be awesome to get more viewers on the podcasts every month. But yeah, you know, this has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Do you want to drop the for your next video? You want to drop the topic?
Oh yeah. Next video will be the Maiar of Middle Earth. That'll be next Sunday. I'm just trying to keep. I'm not sure if I'll take a week off in the next month or whatever. Here, I've been thinking about it, but a live stream was a good time to rest, not worry about building a script. So we'll see. I do want to keep providing content as we're in this quarantine and everything. So I will see you guys next week with the Maiar of Middle Earth. Thank you all for joining us here today. Thank you all for coming out, and it's been nice to talk to you all. Yeah, like Ryan said, if you want to support the channel further, if you want to talk to us like this every single month, please join us over there. Please join our Discord channel. And I want to give one last shout out to our Valar 2 patrons: Adrian De la Torre, Chris Ortner, Peter Sheppard, Cal Wetzel, Lane Grimes, Mr. Vatnedal, Samuel McBee, Jonathan Putnam, and Kairi Kawaii. Thank you guys so much for your donations and support. They really help during the uncertain times. My friends, as always, thank you all so much for joining us on this adventure. Until the next one, my great friends.